And this is the Rita Cosby Show. You know, I had a really amazing experience last weekend. I was down in Camden, South Carolina. As many of you know, I went to the University of South Carolina. Proud Gamecock graduate. We're luckily doing okay lately in a number of key sports, which I'm proud to say. And of course, we've been doing pretty good at football. Sorry, Citadel fans, we beat you pretty badly, thank goodness. But the other thing I was down there for, and it was just an incredible, incredible afternoon for me. I was out there for the Colonial Cup. It is the Marion DuPont Scott Colonial Cup International Steeplechase at Springdale Racecourse in Camden, South Carolina. And I will tell you, it was one of the most beautiful days I have been a part of. It was a beautiful sunny day. And there it is, watching some of the most beautiful horses in the country race and seeing them up close and seeing, I think, some of the best trainers, some of the best jockeys, and really one of the most beautiful race courses in the country. If you get a chance and you're near that area of the world, go by Camden, South Carolina. They have a big Colonial Cup. They also have the Carolina Cup, of course, which is also another huge event. At the Carolina Cup, I think they have close to 100,000 people come to this particular one that we went to. It was about 10 or 15,000. It's a smaller race, but it's more of sort of a family style race. And what they did was, which I thought was just really beautiful, was they had a military appreciation day. And part of the reason I was there, as many of you know, my father was a prisoner of war in World War II. He was captured by the Nazis. He escaped and was saved by American troops. And it was a wonderful day for this daughter to have my father honored. And he was honored with, it was called the Baron de Kalb Award, the Major General Baron de Kalb Award. And it was the first ever time that they have awarded that particular award. And my father was the first recipient. And it was very neat for me to be there to receive it on his behalf and talk about the incredible heroism of our U.S. troops, because those are the heroes who saved my dad. And I thought it was so beautiful of this organization, of the Carolina Cup Racing Association, of those who organized the Colonial Cup, to honor our military and to really appreciate those young men and women who are still thousands of miles away and also in this country protecting our freedoms. And it was also a beautiful day. And I learned so much about horse racing and also steeplechasing. I had never really seen a lot of the steeplechase. I've been to a couple different events, around the country. But to be able to see it up close and to be able to meet some of these great trainers and great jockeys was a real privilege for me. And joining us now on the show to talk about it is one of the great trainers of all time, Jonathan Shepard. He is in the Hall of Fame. Now, he came over to the United States, just to give you a little background, in 1961. Then he goes on in 1973. He wins. It was his first win in earnings and a championship in steeplechase. He went on to win the earnings title another 23 times. And Jonathan Shepard is the only trainer to win the American Steeplechase Triple Crown, doing it with Flatterer. I love that, the name of the horse, to win the Eclipse Award for Outstanding Steeplechase Horse 4 years in a row. So think about just the competition to make it into the Hall of Fame as one of the great American trainers. And joining us now is Jonathan Shepard, who I had the pleasure of meeting with his wife in Camden last weekend. How are you, sir?
I'm great. It's nice to talk with you again.
You too. It's so fabulous to have you here and have you on the show. Tell us a little bit about steeplechase and why it is still so popular and what makes this sport just so beautiful.
I think you've covered a lot of the ground with saying how attractive it is to see these beautiful animals running in a kind of country setting and jumping fences at the same time with, skilled riders and horse people. It's sort of a little bit of a step back in time, I guess you could say, because it is really a true sport. There is prize money, and in this case, the big race of the day was actually worth $100,000. But a lot of our race meets have quite small purses. People don't normally get attracted to participate in it unless they really have a love of the sport and the animal, and that's kind of what makes it special.
And give us a little sense, too, Jonathan, about the training. What I think is really incredible is the amount of training that goes into, first of all, a great horse, a great jockey. Give us a sense of the preparation and that moment it takes to make a winner.
Well, in most cases, these steeplechase horses, they're all thoroughbreds. They're the same horses you see running at the flat tracks, in other words, in the flat racing, triple crown races, the Kentucky Derby and so on. They're all the same breed, and nearly all our horses have raced in flat races before we get them to convert them into jumpers. So they actually, they've had the basics. They've got the foundation. They know how to channel themselves at speed and be in company with a group of other horses and so on. So our main thing then is just to teach them how to go the longer distances, because our races are all 2 miles plus, and many of them have not run more than, say, a mile before. So we have to teach them, sort of build up their stamina and teach them to conserve their speed.
And Jonathan, do me a favor, Jonathan. Stay with us. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. We're going to come right back with you. We got a little bit of a bad connection, but we're going to fix it on the break, and we're going to come right back with you with Jonathan Shepard, one of the great Hall of Fame trainers in American thoroughbred racing, in steeplechase. And I had the pleasure of meeting him and his wife last weekend at the Colonial Cup, which was an incredible international steeplechase event. One of the great, I think, races. It was so wonderful to see and just so majestic to see these beautiful horses. And when we come back, we're going to talk more with him and also talk with a local military official and talk with him because it was Military Appreciation Day. We're going to be right back, everybody.
800-321-8828.
And you're listening to the Rita Cosby Show. And last weekend, I was telling you I was in Camden, South Carolina for the Colonial Cup International Steeplechase race. It was fantastic at Springdale Racecourse. It's in Camden, South Carolina. And it was so beautiful, and I just think magnificent to see these animals race. And steeplechase, you talk about just the athleticism that you see of the jockeys, the amazing training that goes into these horses. And it was Military Appreciation Day, and my father, who was a prisoner of war in World War II, was honored. And it was just such a beautiful, special day and such a great patriotic day. One of my favorite moments was seeing the skydivers coming in, and they had these huge flags. One of them had a 1,500 square foot flag attached. Can you imagine coming in and seeing this enormous flag came in? It was just beautiful and patriotic. And to see these horses run with the majesty that they have, and now to learn about the training too. I got to spend a lot of time and hear about the background and the training. Well, there is a wonderful British-born trainer. He's 70 years old, even though he looks like he's 30. And he is the first in the American sport ever to pass the $20 million mark. Think about that. He is a Hall of Famer, and he continues with us now. Jonathan Shepard, one of the great trainers in thoroughbred horse racing of all time. And Jonathan, real quick, too, just how much work does it take to get to the point to be a Hall of Fame trainer, for you, for all your horses? And it's just incredible determination to get there.
Well, it does take a lot of work. It's something that I kind of grew up with, so I guess it's almost second nature to me now, because my family had ponies and horses when I was young growing up in England. And then when I came to this country, age 21, I kind of kept up the same thing. What's different about horses particularly is that, of course, you can't just not take care of them just because it's 4 o'clock on Friday afternoon and come back and start again at 9 o'clock on Monday morning. It's 7 days a week, basically 24 hours a day. It is a tough job, but it's very rewarding, and I love working with animals. I love working outside, and as you can see, when it all comes together on the day, as you witnessed on Saturday at the Colonial Cup in Camden, it just makes it all worthwhile.
How special is the Colonial Cup? It's a beautiful race, isn't it?
Well, it is really one of our most very important races, because it's a big purse. It is what we termed a Grade 1 steeplechase, and it's one of the races at this meeting in Camden, which is the last steeplechase meet of the season. And our championships at stake and awards, we actually had a very nice awards dinner after the races in a country club just near the course.
With wonderful Peggy Steinman, who I loved. She was great.
There you go. Yes, she organized a lot of it. And of course, the Eclipse Awards, which are national honors for the different categories in horse racing, 3-year-olds, 2-year-olds, fillies, colts, and so on. And they have a steeplechase award. Unfortunately, my horses ran second and third in the big race. They probably won't be in the running, but I think the horse that won the Colonial Cup will be crowned champion. So that gives added significance to the race.
It sure does. And by the way, it sounds like you have plenty of great races under your belt. It's great. It's so great to have you with us, Jonathan. And also, please thank your wife, too. It was wonderful to meet her, too. And great to have you on the show. One of the great Hall of Fame trainers in American thoroughbred horse racing, and had the pleasure of seeing you and also seeing your great horses in action last weekend at the Colonial Cup. Thanks so much, Jonathan.
We enjoyed it too. Thank you, Rita.
Thanks so much. And as I've mentioned, it was Military Appreciation Day out there at the track at Springdale Racecourse. And it was so beautiful to see these new recruits who were also getting sworn in. They called it Springdale Camp. They changed the name for the day. And in addition to that, they had a Humvee. They had a half track from World War II, from Normandy D-Day, an actual half track. They had some very, very cool military, vehicles and a whole bunch of different stuff out there. And then when these skydivers came in, it was the Carolina skydiving team. I jumped out of a plane a couple of years ago. I did a tandem jump with the Golden Knights. So when I saw these guys were coming down head first at one point, so that was pretty gutsy. I didn't quite get to that, but I did make it down to the ground. But these guys were quite impressive, coming in with 3 American flags. One was 1,500 square feet, and when we saw that, it was beautiful. And you could see the tears in the eyes of everybody watching, because it was Military Appreciation Day. And joining us to talk a bit about that aspect and how special it was to have the military honored, especially as we're heading, we're talking about Thanksgiving, we're talking about holiday season. It's important to remember our great troops. And joining us to talk about this is another guy who I had the pleasure of meeting, Colonel Peter Brooks. He's with the South Carolina Army National Guard, Director of Public Affairs and Strategic Communications. How are you, Colonel Brooks?
I'm doing great, Rita. It's great to hear your voice.
You know what? And you were so kind. You picked us up when we were in Columbia, and then we headed out to, I tell everybody it was paradise, Bloomsbury Inn with Catherine and Bruce there running Bloomsbury Inn, which was like a paradise. It was like a scene out of a movie, this beautiful old inn. It's their home. They actually live there. They have 4 rooms, and we had the military room upstairs, which was very fitting, which was just absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. And I encourage everybody, if you're in Camden, South Carolina, or in Columbia, look up the Bloomsbury Inn, because it is beautiful, and the innkeepers were just could not have been nicer and more welcoming. It was like a second home. But you were so kind to take us there, and I had a chance to talk to you and talk about your love of the military. What did it mean to have the military recognized at the Colonial Cup?
Well, it's just absolutely fantastic. Of course, this is the second year they've done it, and this year it grew, of course, over last year. They gave away 3,000 general admission tickets strictly to members of the military, and they gave over 500 infield reserved parking passes to members of the military and their family, and that's absolutely fantastic. These guys could probably afford the parking spaces if they were to purchase them. But, just to have somebody say, thank you for everything that you do every day to protect us and to protect this country, and just a small token to allow these people to come into a wonderful event like the Colonial Cup for free, just made it a really, really special day for everyone. It
sure did. And it was so beautiful, too. I thought it was great. They brought these new recruits in. They're from Fort Jackson, which is where a lot of people do their basic training. And I thought it was, and also it's a very historic area. My father got the first ever, and I love this, and you could tell it was very sentimental for me to talk about how great the American troops were who saved my dad. But my dad got the Major General Baron de Kalb Award, and who fought. He was born in Europe, yet fought in the Revolutionary War. I thought that was so great. Here, my father also born in Europe, and of course loves America. And I thought the parallels were beautiful. But that's a very historic area. And Terry Lee Teed, who I love, by the way, who gave this great line when she was driving us. She said, "Come to Camden." What was it? Spend a day where the British spent a winter.
Exactly. Spend a day where the British spent one long winter.
Yeah. What's the history there?
Well, of course, Camden is just steeped in Revolutionary War history. The Battle of Camden was there, and of course, that's where the Major General Baron de Kalb Service Award is named from. But there's the Camden Revolutionary War Park, which the city and the county is trying very hard to get that part of the national park system. Right now, it's an affiliate of the national park system, but it's not actually recognized or a part of the national park. And of course, everyone thinks that it really needs to be. And that's where the British had their first encampment just prior to the Battle of Camden.
And real quick, you've got a real big South Carolina National Guard unit there. How big is it? One of the biggest, right?
We do have a very large unit. It's one of our signal units. Of course, in this modern day, they've been to Iraq and Afghanistan and recently have come home. But it just that whole area, and South Carolina as a whole, of course, is a very pro-military state. But just this central Midlands area of Columbia and Camden and the surrounding areas is just steeped in both Revolutionary War history, Civil War history, and then, of course, those young soldiers and airmen that are making history as we speak with the global war on terrorism.
Well, Colonel Pete Brooks, you thank everybody, and thank you for your great service. And it was so great meeting you and everybody there. We will be right back. Colonel Pete Brooks with the South Carolina National Guard.
800-321-8828.
And this is Rita Cosby. I just want to give a big shout out and thank everybody with the Carolina Cup Racing Association. It was incredible being there in Camden. Peggy Steinman, Terry Teed, Laura Schull. Also a big shout out to Heather Matthews and her husband, Sheriff Jim, who took great care of us, took me out on my birthday. That was awesome. And Kevin Floyd and everyone, thank you for welcoming me into that beautiful, beautiful community. My sort of second home there in South Carolina. It was really wonderful, and I just loved being in the area. Also, the Bethel Worship Center, that was really terrific with Reverend Casey. Thank you, everybody, for welcoming me. I hope everybody is having a beautiful and blessed holiday.